It started with a decision, most called reckless. Dropping out of college, for an app full of dances and memes, they laughed. They said it was a joke, but behind the noise was a vision, a storm quietly building. While others partied, he planned. While doors closed, he filmed, alone, broke, ignored. The failure, it felt close, too close. But this story isn't about giving up. It's about what came next. The grind, the obsession, the breakthrough. From viral clips to a billion-dollar empire, a rise no one believed in, until it changed everything. Before we dive in, tell me where you're watching from. And hit subscribe, because stories like this, they might just change the way you see your own. The beginning of the end. The campus of Westridge University buzzed with excitement as finals week approached. Students shuffled between libraries and coffee shops, textbooks clutched like lifelines, all except for Ben Reed. In the corner of his cramped dorm room, the 19-year-old sat hunched over his phone, eyes locked on metrics most people never notice. View duration, engagement rate, follower velocity. "You're wasting your time," his roommate muttered on the way out. "Calc finals tomorrow." Ben barely registered the words. His student loan statement lay crumpled on the floor. $47,000 and climbing. His parents had leveraged their modest savings to help with the first year's tuition. They believed in education as the only path forward, the same path that had barely kept them in the middle class for decades. "It's an investment in your future," his father had said when dropping him off freshman year. What his father couldn't know was that Ben was already planning a different investment. The decision. 3 weeks later, Ben sat across from his parents at their kitchen table. The silence was suffocating. "I'm dropping out," he repeated, his voice steadier than his hands. His mother's eyes welled with tears. His father's face hardened into stone. For what? To make dance videos. His father's voice cracked with a mixture of anger and fear. "This TikTok obsession, it's not real life, Ben." But to Ben, it was the only thing that felt real. The algorithms, the storytelling, the instant feedback loop. It was pure, undiluted reality, more honest than the theoretical economics and business structures he was studying at Westridge. "I've made my decision," Ben said, standing up. "I've applied for a job at Milo's Diner. It'll cover rent while I build this." His father's parting words followed him out the door. "When this fails, and it will fail, don't expect us to bail you out." The struggle. The one-bedroom apartment in East Side was everything $750 a month could buy. Water stains on the ceiling, temperamental plumbing, and neighbors who treated 3 a.m. as an appropriate time for domestic disputes. Ben barely noticed. His world had narrowed to two things: 8-hour shifts serving greasy food at Milo's, and every remaining waking moment hunched over his phone. What the world saw: a directionless college dropout making bizarre 60-second sketches that barely broke double-digit views. What Ben saw: data points. Each failed video was information. What didn't work, what timing fell flat, what hooks didn't catch. For 3 months, he posted 3 times daily, no exceptions. While other aspiring creators chased trends, Ben was running deeper experiments. He created spreadsheets tracking emotional responses against video retention. He studied the psychological triggers behind virality. His manager at Milo's caught him editing videos during breaks. "Kid, you need to decide if you're serious about this job." Ben looked up from his phone. "I'm not," he said honestly. "This is temporary." 2 weeks later, his rent check bounced. His phone service was cut off. He used the diner's Wi-Fi to keep posting. The breaking point. 6 months in, Ben had 230 followers. His savings were gone. His parents' calls went unanswered because he couldn't bear their disappointment. On a particularly brutal Tuesday, he spilled coffee on a customer who turned out to be a regional manager for the restaurant chain. By evening, he was unemployed. That night, sitting on his mattress on the floor, Ben considered quitting. Not just TikTok, everything. The thought was interrupted by a notification from his neighbor's Wi-Fi, password 123. His latest video had been viewed 65 times, better than average, but nowhere near sustainable. Instead of sleeping, Ben pulled out a notebook. What was he missing? What did people truly connect with? The answer came at 3:42 a.m. Authenticity. Not manufactured, not perfect, but raw, recognizable truth. The pivot. With his last $40, Ben bought a used server jacket from a thrift store. He convinced his former manager at Milo's to let him film in the back of the restaurant before opening hours. The series was simple. Things I saw as a poor waiter in a rich restaurant. The first video showed Ben in character standing in the kitchen, eyes hollow with exhaustion. He spoke directly to the camera. Today, a man sent back a $400 bottle of wine because it wasn't expressive enough. His date looked at me like she wanted to disappear. Later, I found her credit card receipt for gas, $7.42. She'd put in just enough to get to the restaurant and back. He didn't ask for likes. He didn't add trendy music. He just cut to black. By morning, it had 40,000 views. By evening, 400,000. In 3 days, the first video hit 4 million. The next 4 installments followed the same trajectory. Ben's follower count jumped from 230 to 500,000 in under 2 weeks. The breakthrough. Brand deals started flowing in. Small at first, local restaurants, clothing startups. Then larger companies noticed the engagement rates that dwarfed industry standards. Ben didn't just accept offers. He transformed them. For a coffee chain, rather than holding up a product with a fake smile, he created a mini-drama about an overworked barista and a kind customer that brought viewers to tears while subtly featuring the brand. His rates increased from $500 per post to $15,000 in less than 4 months. Ben moved into a real apartment. He paid off his student loans. He hired 2 assistants, both film school graduates who couldn't find traditional jobs. But he wasn't satisfied. The vision. While brands saw Ben as an influencer, he saw himself as something else entirely, a laboratory for human emotion. At night, after his team left, Ben analyzed every comment, every share pattern, every retention graph. He wasn't just tracking what worked. He was developing theories about why. He approached a former computer science professor with an idea. An AI system that could predict emotional responses to visual storytelling. "It's impossible," the professor said. "Emotions aren't quantifiable." "They are," Ben insisted. "We just haven't been measuring the right signals." With $200,000 of his own money, Ben funded the initial development of what would become Emotion Lens, an algorithm that could analyze facial microexpressions in video content and predict audience emotional journeys. The gamble. By his 23rd birthday, Ben had built Reed Media Group into a 30-person operation with revenues exceeding $4 million annually. Emotion Lens was in beta testing, showing promising results. Then came the call that would change everything. Apex Holdings, a media conglomerate, offered $28 million for his company. The caveat: they wanted the technology and Ben's creative input, but decisions would shift to their executive team. His lawyers urged him to accept. His new business mentors called it a once-in-a-lifetime exit. The night before signing, Ben sat alone in his office, staring at the contract. The money would set him up for life. His parents could retire. He'd be validated in everyone's eyes. But something felt wrong. At 2 a.m., he called the Apex CEO and declined the offer. "You're making a catastrophic mistake," the CEO warned. "This technology isn't proven at scale. You need our infrastructure." Ben hung up and immediately lost 3 clients who had connections to Apex. The leap. Instead of selling, Ben went all in on Emotion Lens. He leveraged everything he owned to secure additional development funds. He moved back into a smaller apartment. He worked 20-hour days refining the algorithm. When traditional investors balked at the concept, Ben did what he knew best. He told a story. He created a private TikTok account where he documented the development process, the failures, the breakthroughs. This caught the attention of Elara Ventures, a tech investment firm known for unconventional bets. Their initial investment of $7 million allowed Ben to hire specialized AI researchers. 6 months later, Emotion Lens could predict with 91% accuracy how audiences would emotionally respond to content. Major studios began licensing the technology for test screenings. Political campaigns used it to refine messaging. The data it generated was worth more than gold. The Empire. 3 days after his 25th birthday, Ben sat in a glass-walled conference room overlooking Manhattan. Across from him, executives from the world's largest streaming platform proposed an acquisition, $1.4 billion for Reed Media Group and its revolutionary AI. This time, the terms were different. Ben would retain creative control. His technology would be used to enhance storytelling, not just maximize engagement. As the contracts were signed, Ben's phone buzzed with a text from his father. "I was wrong. I'm sorry, and I'm proud of you." Later that evening, alone in his penthouse, Ben opened TikTok and scrolled through his original account. Most of those early videos had been deleted, but he kept one, his first poor waiter video that changed everything. The comments section had a recent addition. "I was the date in this story, the one who could barely afford gas. Watching you succeed has been the most inspiring thing. Thank you for seeing me when I felt invisible." The cost. Success at Ben's scale comes with scrutiny. Privacy advocates questioned the ethics of emotion prediction technology. Former friends sold stories about his relentless ambition. The media painted him as either a visionary or a calculating opportunist who turned human emotion into a commodity. The truth, as always, was more complicated. Ben had achieved everything he'd sacrificed for. But some sacrifices can't be undone. His early 20s, years most spend discovering themselves, had been consumed by work. Relationships remained superficial. Trust was scarce in his world of strategic partnerships and proprietary algorithms. At industry galas, people approached with dollar signs in their eyes. Everyone wanted something. In rare moments of quiet, he sometimes wondered about the road not taken. The college degree, the conventional career, the simpler life, the reality. Today, Ben Reed sits atop a media empire valued at over $3 billion. Emotion Lens technology has evolved into a standard tool across entertainment, advertising, and beyond. His journey from college dropout to billionaire looks inevitable in retrospect, a clear trajectory of talent meeting opportunity. But we know better. We've seen the nights of doubt, the moments when everything nearly collapsed, the crushing weight of decisions that could have gone either way. Success is never a straight line. It's a series of crossroads where fear and opportunity stand side by side, asking you to choose. Ben Reed chose again and again. He chose risk over safety, vision over convention, belief over doubt. Most importantly, he chose to trust his understanding of what moves people, not just as consumers or viewers, but as human beings seeking connection in a fragmented world. That understanding wasn't taught in any classroom. It was earned through failure, obsession, and the courage to see patterns others missed. In the end, perhaps that's the real story here. Not how a teenager became a billionaire, but how someone learned to truly see people, their desires, their pain, their hopes, and built something that reflected that understanding back to them. Something worth more than money ever could be. What would you build if you weren't afraid to fail? The answer might be closer than you think. Hit subscribe if this story resonated with you. And tell me below, what's the biggest risk you've ever taken? Was it worth it? Until next time, remember, every empire begins with a single, terrifying decision. Your move.